All right. I think we're live. I am currently feeding a human being. Hold on, let me move this out of the way. Hi, everybody. Oh, I've been edit and catch up on videos, and so it's been a journey. Or just start it over. Hey, this is Afro Millennial Momma live. This is a video that I actually wanted to sit down and record, but um, I'm never gonna have the time. It's not cool. I don't know if the sound is good. It looks like. Anyway, this is a video that was a long time coming. I have lots of notes. It's basically my experience, but I think I did a birth vlog, but I never really told the story. Hi from the UK. Who's that? Sophia. Safia? Yes, Safia from the UK. What's up, Safia? Yeah, I did a birth vlog, but in the moment, there's a lot of things that were happening that I didn't realize or was unaware of, um, especially when I was unconscious. And then I also wanted to do a video comparing my birth and prenatal experiences, both in the states and here in Senegal. Um, so I decided to just put it all together because I'm always with this girl, and to make a nice, pretty video for you guys, I was like, it's probably going to take forever, and she'll probably be a year old by the time that gets done. So here it is, and then once I finish, I'll put timestamps so whoever wants to watch certain parts can see, pick and choose in case this video is super long or something. All right. So, first off, hope everybody's doing well. My name is Aisha. For those who don't know me, I don't know if I should have my glasses on or not. I think I need my glasses. But anyway, um, I just had this little person say hi. You want to say hello? Hold on 1 second. I think she want to say hi. You want to say hello? There she is. Say hi. I was just milk drunk. Where's your thing? Gotta look good for the camera, girl. You gotta look good for the camera. Say hi, everybody. Nice burp. Say hola, ¿cómo están? While mommy fix her clothes. Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself, mama? Okay, so just to get started, let me look at my notes. Forgive me, I got my phone. Um, I took the time to put this all together after in retrospect, after learning everything that I went through, and just thank you. Lovely says you're so cute. Say thank you. I want to be in the video today, so my mom won't have no time by herself ever, ever, ever. But like I said, there's some things that I learned about my birth experience here, and then some things that I sat with and thought about after, just comparing. I did do a vlog of like a postpartum. I was doing videos, and then I just put it all together in one video. A postpartum vlog, diary vlog, and then I also did a birth vlog. But this is more of just the breakdown of everything that happened and what I would have done differently, as well as comparison to what I experienced before in the States, being pregnant twice there and once here, um, and all that jazz. So, um, pregnancy wise, I had the same condition that I have with all my pregnancies, which the total of three. I have hyperemesis or hyperemesis. I don't know which one. Hyperemesis gravidarum, which is excessive vomiting throughout the pregnancy. It can last the whole pregnancy. It can last, 5 months, 6 months out the pregnancy, and it's more than morning sickness. It's extreme, and people sometimes have to be hospitalized. They lose a lot of weight. They're not able to eat. So that's my case. Um, Somebody says something. Hi, T's Real. How are you? Say hello. I'm just gonna eat my hand. But so I did have that this go around as well as in the States. I think I had it twice in the States. Sometimes it comes in the form of motion sickness, so I can't move, and sometimes it's just I can't eat anything. So that was the case. And in the comparison from how I was treated here, um, there was more, I wouldn't want to say sympathy as far as like express sympathy, but there was definitely more care provided, and this time I actually received some relief, even though I was vomiting probably until about 5 months five. With my first, it was the entire pregnancy, and I was given nothing for relief of the nausea or anything like that. But yeah, the doctor here was able to give me some medication, suppository, because you can't take pills because you're vomiting and everything. But and so that helped a lot because I was for 2 weeks I couldn't eat anything, and I was very weak. But yeah, I was struggling a lot. I was depressed. I was bedridden because of it. But oh, great! Thank you very much. Good job. I just watched this dress, but that's what you do. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, I as if you watch the birth vlog, I was in a clinic. My plan wasn't to go to a clinic. I wanted to have a home birth or a home labor, but because of my hypertension history, and also I had a C-section with my first child. Is this cricket? I had a C-section with my first child, so the doctor wanted me to be there and be monitored. I was nervous about having a kid in another country. I did a lot of research. I was pregnant. I miscarried when we first moved here, which was in the end of 2020. So we've been here for 3.5 years. I miscarried, but I was looking up information as far as how everything would go, and if I decided to give birth in the clinic. So that was the original plan. After I got here, I did um, meet someone who's a doula, but I couldn't afford both a doula and the doctor, and it's kind of what they do is conflicting stuff. So the care that I needed because of I don't want to say the risk, but my current situation, I chose to just go with the doctor. Um, I think if I had everything that I wanted, I would have probably had my first doula that I had back in the States with my daughter and flown her out here and then gone to the clinic probably. But I did have a great prenatal experience. My doctor was hands-on, very personable, very much available, like phone calls, anything I experienced. I don't know what it's called medically, but I did have contractions around month six. And during month six, it was excruciating, and I was in the bed like in the fetal position. It was really really bad, and I think the baby was at the time putting pressure on my cervix somehow, and so I did have to take something. That was the first time I experienced that, so I did have to take something to stop the contractions. So that was the other complication that I experienced during the pregnancy, aside from the hyperemesis, and then my blood pressure. So I was referred to a cardiologist as well. The cardiologist was great. He told me stuff in a way that when somebody tells you something that you already know, but it makes more sense the next, like just hearing it the way they say it. This particular cardiologist had been to the States, either studied or lived for a while or something, but he was just telling me about the food portions and the stress levels and why, they provide medication so early, as far as when your blood pressure is not super high, but they provide it to you anyway because they know eventually it's going to be high because of the lifestyle. Yes, most people do have C-sections after the vaginal. VBAC is very rare in the states where I'm from, and also let me just put this here. And also, for someone my age, there's a lot of things that they'll tell you that you're not eligible for this because of your age, blood pressure, your past. My mother had 3 C-sections, and I always grew up under with the thought that if you have 1 C-section, you have to continue having them. My C-section, and that's one thing I appreciated about the doctor I had here. They didn't just automatically say, "Oh yeah, you have to have a C-section," and didn't question anything. He actually asked questions like why I had the C-section, which I'm under the impression that I was being rushed because I was in the hospital for a day and a half, 2 days. I went in on the 3rd in the evening and had her on the 5th. So yeah, I think because of that, I think I was laying in the bed. I didn't get to really walk around, and I wasn't laboring. I was induced with pitocin, and it didn't work the first time I was induced, and this second time it was working a little bit, but not really. And I think my water barely broke, but I was in the bed because they put me on an epidural. Yes, they put me on an epidural. They told me it was for pain, and they said even though the pain I was managing it, they said, well, your blood pressure is going up because of the pain, which I've been taking blood pressure medication since I was probably 30, 31 years old. I'm now 42. And never have anyone ever told me the reason that my blood pressure is high. They said, oh, it could be salt, it could be this, it could be that, try different stuff. But now these people that don't know me are saying, oh, it's because of the pain that their blood pressure is going up. And I never thought until after, because this was my first pregnancy, first child, why didn't they just give me blood pressure medication? Because there is blood pressure medication that you can get, intravenously and through IV, or that's safe to take while you're pregnant. So I don't know why they just didn't give me to what I need to lower my blood pressure, but they wanted to, in my humble opinion, start me on the epidural so that when they want to do the C-section, I already have the epidural. They just increase the dosage. Hi, I'm doing a video. You want to say hello? This is my epidural baby. And so they did give me, somebody here?
No, it's Esther.
Oh, okay. They did give me an epidural and told me it was because of the pain, but I wasn't screaming. I wasn't like, I was breathing. I was pretty good. And you could take her. What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
I'm talking to her.
Here, take her. Oh, there you go. Thank you. But so I was saying they gave me an epidural, and that's how everything kind of got started. They kept intervening and tried to break my water more than it was already broken. Some other things as well. But this doctor asked me all these questions. He asked, all they told me at that time was that the baby wasn't coming down. And they didn't say, they said the baby's head, they measured the head, and they said, yo, I want to talk about your sister's birth. I'm busy. You want me to talk about you?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Say hi to the camera.
Yeah, Take her to your room or something. If she already ate, so she should be fine. Thank you. So anyway, uh yeah, they did the C-section eventually, but they said that the baby wasn't coming down, but it wasn't because of her. Hi AB, what's up? But it wasn't because of her head size or anything like that. Because sometimes they say if the head size doesn't match the pelvic opening or whatever, that the baby's head won't descend. But that wasn't it. Like I think it was just my first pregnancy, and they say first pregnancies go slower than others, like and and it just takes time, and they just didn't want to wait. That's my opinion of what the doctors in the States were doing. And this doctor here in this scenario was like, oh, you're perfectly healthy. Like he measured everything he needed to measure. He was like, well, see the baby's growth, that the baby is not too large, and this and that. You don't need to necessarily have a C-section, but we'll play it by ear. Because I didn't want nothing to do. I didn't want to do surgery. I was kind of nervous about doing surgery here because I figured like because they do so many C-sections in the States, they know what they're doing. They could probably do with their eyes closed. And then I was like, I don't know here what you can't really investigate and be like, oh, what are your C-sections like? And what are it's not like they do as many, I don't think, even though they're doing more. I was actually informed by a lot of people that they do more inductions here than they used to. And they do, yes, child. But where's your sister?
She's over there.
Okay. Sorry. And this is why I couldn't get the video done and actually record it. Anyway, so he was just from the beginning, I felt relaxed. Anytime I was nervous, and there was a language barrier. I do speak French, but not pregnancy French. So, Amadou, my husband, was with me most of the time, and I was able to speak English, and he was able to speak Wolof. So everybody's like in their most comfortable language. And sometimes I would go there with questions, and he would laugh at me, like, and I'm like, no, I want to ask. And the doctor, but he was really cool and obliged me. He's like, go right ahead. Whenever I had worries, which a lot of times when you're pregnant, you get paranoid and panicky and stuff, and you think all kinds of crazy things, hormones and what have you. But he really listened to me. And, if I saw him at the grocery store, he was like, call me if you need something. I was like, I don't want to ask you when you're out in public, you're off work. And he's like, no, it's cool. I will see him at a party. And he's like, yeah. And so he was really great, really, really great, sensitive, and I don't know, patient. Yeah. Anyway, I miss my doctor. I wish I was pregnant just to go be able to see him and talk to him. Like he was like therapist patient, like that. I don't know. He's made for this. Anyway, so I think, let me see, what was I saying? Yeah, so I think um that from the jump made a difference. I had a doctor in the States who was a woman. I thought the woman would be nice because they have the same organs and stuff. But she was really insensitive. She was from a different culture, and she was working in the neighborhood where most of the people were from my culture. And it just felt like she was going through the motions. And she didn't even come for the birth or anything. She just sends you there. And there were a lot of student doctors, and they got mad at me, like, because I wouldn't let them do their, like, I wouldn't let them treat me like a science project, basically. And so it was like, oh, we want to do this. We want to induce you. The doctor said we can't let you go. And it turns out I hadn't even been admitted, and they trying to keep me in the waiting room, like telling me I can't go, like it's dangerous. And they tell you stuff like your baby could die and this and that if it's a risk. And like, who talks to a pregnant person like that? Like the doctor here would never, even if something was wrong, which I had hemorrhaging, which I'll get to. I had hemorrhaging during labor, and he didn't freak out. Like he didn't. He told me it was serious, but he didn't say, like, he wasn't like, oh my gosh, you could die if you don't do this. Like there's no pressure and that kind of stuff. I couldn't believe that the doctors were telling me that when I wasn't even induced with my daughter. I was probably 30 something weeks, 37 weeks. And I went there because my blood pressure was high. They say when you have high blood pressure, if it's towards the end, go to the hospital till it lowers and they let you go. That had happened twice before. And then I went and I thought they were going to let me go. And they said, no, it's better if we can control it and have the baby. That way you don't have no risk. Because they say, what if you have preeclampsia? What if you get that? And I'm like, it's a 1 in 4 chance that people get preeclampsia. And when you get it, they do what they got to do. But like, why would you even put that in my mind? But that's the culture there, and you don't realize it until you're not there that they do. I mean, you realize it a little, but you're like, wait a minute, like it's just like placebo. Like all that stuff in your head makes a difference with your body. So anyway, with this pregnancy, I had about 3 weeks of false labor or Braxton Hicks or pre pre labor contractions. That was emotionally difficult. I felt very stressed about it. I didn't know. I've never been into had spontaneous labor, so I didn't know what that was going to be like. I didn't know what the contractions were going to feel like. So I called the doctor a lot, and he did not act annoyed. He did not, trip. He was like, when it gets to be the real thing, you'll know. And he didn't want me to labor at home, so I was like, okay, let me call anytime I feel something. But it was several days where I was having contractions just walking around the house, and some days I couldn't get up and I had to breathe. 3 weeks went on like that, and I thought something was wrong with my body. I was freaking out. And so when I did, you said, "What? That's a blessing." What? What? Oh, she got something to say. Yeah. What's a blessing? I missed what you were commenting on, but or maybe you're talking about the doctor. But I was really going through it mentally, emotionally with that, with the labor going, like coming and going, coming and going. And then my friend came, and I love my friend so much. My friend Mel, she we met. Whew, how many years ago is it now? I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. No, less than that. Maybe like 12, 13. Anyway, uh, she her ex-husband is Senegalese, and that's how we met when they were together. And we've been friends since then. And she was coming here anyway for her daughter to visit and stuff. And she said, "You want me to plan my trip like after the baby to help you, or before the baby comes to help you with the pregnancy?" I was like, "Tell me with labor and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And so she came, and it was perfect timing. I hadn't had the baby yet, and she was here with me for a week, and then the baby came, and the doctor was real chill. When I was flipping out, like I'm having contractions, something wrong with me or whatever, and he's like, "Just come in the office," and he calmed me down. My mother-in-law was here. She's a midwife, but she's retired, and she was freaking out. She thought I needed a C-section. She was thinking something was going to happen to me if I didn't have a C-section, if I went into labor. And so he talked to her. Uh, I don't think Amadou doesn't really show when he's freaking out. He kind of holds it in to be calm, so I can't tell. But everybody was reassured. There was a time where he thought about the C-section too, and I'm just like, no, I don't want that if I don't need it. Let's see. Wow. What did you say? Wow. I want to know what's the wow. T's real. So good to hear that you had a beautiful experience in Senegal. Thank you. Yeah, and so the doctor was just cool. He talked to my mother-in-law, he talked to my friend, he talked to my husband, he talked to me, like anybody, whatever we needed, he was able to communicate, like, and he doesn't even speak English, but he'll throw some English words in there just to make me feel comfortable. And like, anytime he's like, "Oh, you ready to have the baby today?" And I'll be like, "I was ready yesterday." And he like, we had a really good rapport. In the beginning, he was quiet, but then as he got to know me, I guess he got more comfortable. And so, yeah, he's the dopest doctor, man. We bought him a gift after, like, I just, yeah, he's cool. So I told him, I'm like, "How am I gonna see you now?" Like, he's like, "You have to have another baby." I'm like, "I don't know. I might borrow one." But yeah, he's really dope. So Dr. Kareem in the Petticoat. He's in Ngaparu, near right outside of Sally, basically Sally. Um, I think his practice is called Lagoon, and he lives right there. So I was in there laboring, and he was at his house like 2 minutes away or whatever, and he just um would come over. He works hard. Like he's an awesome doctor. And I was in there all by myself. If you saw in the birth vlog, it's one room. It was 2 beds, and I had it all to myself. The whole 20. Well, I was while I was in labor, and then after for the postpartum for like 3 days or something like that. So it's a really nice facility, private, and then if there's anything urgent, like he's able to go, like he went to get when I needed the blood transfusion, he was able to go pick it up himself, and at the urgent care, and then at the emergency room, and then I needed anesthesia. I needed to go under right after the baby came out, and so the anesthesiologist came right up there. The pediatrician was there once the baby was born. The pediatrician stopped by the next day, checked the baby. So yeah, it was a great experience. I tell anyone, I don't care if you don't speak French, use your Google Translate and talk to him. He is awesome, because that's what I did. I would just copy in my phone certain stuff, like if I needed to know how to say certain words, medical terms and stuff, and I would just copy paste it and text it to him, and that's how we communicated when I didn't know what to say. But let's see what else happened. I experienced what is called fetal ejection reflex. In my birth log video, I kept saying that my stomach was like squeezing really weird, and that's when I was having the hemorrhaging actually. But it was fetal ejection, so like the baby ejected itself, or my body ejected the baby just like on its own. And that was right after my water broke. My water broke around 10 something p.m. and I was by myself, and that's when the contractions got crazy. Oh my gosh. It went from like it was so easy for 12 hours. I was on Pitocin or something and it was fine. And then actually not even 12 hours, because they switched the bag. When one bag finished, they switched the bag on the IV and gave me another one, and that one was a placebo. I found out later, because the nurse, she came in and she was like, "Oh, have the contractions continued, or have they stopped, or have they increased?" And I'm like, "Well, they're about the same. They probably increased a little," but that turned out to be a placebo, because I looked it up. The name that was on there, and it was different than what she gave me before. And so I was like, "Nah, they can't just give me like fluids or whatever." And then my friend said they probably did. She was there at the time. She said they probably placeboed you because you're like all in your head about everything. And so then the contractions picked up, and then boom, I heard a pop, and I'm sitting up, and it feels like I went on myself, like I urinated on myself, and it was my water breaking, and that continued for another 2-3 hours. When once it came to my stomach doing the fetal ejection thing, every time my stomach would contract, but like in this weird way, it was like it was like not hydraulics. I want to say, yeah, it's like when you jump a car. Is it jump? It's like hydraulics on a car, kind of like, but it would happen like 3 times in a row, boom, 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 and my stomach was just squeezing itself. It was so weird, and every time that would happen, I'm trying to sleep, and more amniotic fluid would come out, so I kept wetting where I was laying, and then I kept having to move a different side of the bed, change bed, and it was just I couldn't sleep, and then I started having these back pains, back labor, and the back labor made me cry. And then the midwife comes in. It's crazy. The bedside manner is very different. Like people people care, but they show it differently. Like their facial expressions, you would never know. And so she's like, "Oh, my son, like, oh, they're there," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, give me drugs or something. Like, this is crazy." Because I didn't know how long it was gonna last. I think that was maybe 3 hours that I had the back pain that hurt. Uh, it hurt like hell. But I figured if I was already dilated, I would have just stuck it out. But because I was by myself, my friend had left, and my husband was on his way. They were switching shifts, and I was by myself, and I didn't know how long it was gonna last. Last time she checked me, it was what 2 centimeters, and it wasn't changing. I didn't like that part. Like that was one thing I didn't like about my birth was like they have to check you every what feels like 10 minutes. So I had my ball, my yoga ball or birthing ball, whatever, and I'm on the ball on the floor, and she's like, "Oh, get on the bed," and I'm already in pain, and so you want me to get back on the bed so you could check me again, and then get off, and I understand she has to do what she has to do, but it just makes it harder. And another thing I didn't like, I couldn't walk. So they gave me the IV from the beginning, so I couldn't leave the building. So all I could do was walk up and down the stairs, and that's it. There's no hallway, there's no corridor. It's just a 2-story or 3-story building, and I couldn't even go up on the terrace or anything. So I was about to walk. They said, "Oh, you could walk and stuff." So I'm like, "Oh, cool." So me and my friend are about to go, and she's holding the IV bag, and we're about to walk, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not outside." And I'm like, "So where am I gonna walk at?" But you know, so that was something. I mean, if I could have had it the way I wanted it, I would have had a bath and gave birth in the tub there. That's kind of what I wanted in the first place, because I figured that would help with the pain, and that probably would have helped with the back labor, to be honest. But yeah, but it happened how it happened, and it wasn't too bad. But yeah, when I was having the fetal ejection reflex, there was amniotic fluid coming out. After about 10 times or so, maybe 15 times, the amniotic fluid started to dwindle, and there was nothing left. So my stomach was still doing like this, but there was nothing being squeezed out. And then after another time or two, I felt another consistency, and then it turned out when she checked me that was blood. So at that time, she had to call the doctor over, and when he got there, that's I'm gonna do. My husband was there at that time, but it was 2 in the morning. We was trying to. He was asleep, and I was trying to sleep, and I'm just like in a fetal position every time. My back. I'm just holding my back like this. There's nothing I can do. I mean, sometimes he would get up when he hear me scream or whatever, and he would hold my hand, but that was about it. I wish I could have had like a doula there at that time, or even my friend. She was massaging my back. That's what I needed. But then I also needed my husband there, so I would have needed both of them because he would be able to speak to the nurse. Because speaking French at that time of the pain and stuff wasn't going to happen. So it was just better that he was there if it had to be one or the other. But it would have been nice to have both, because she knew what to do, because she's had a baby before, and she studied a little bit to be a doula. But yeah, so that happened, and then as soon as the doctor got there, we went to the next room, and he told me, he said, "Oh," he was just so calm. He's like, "Okay, the baby's coming. You're like 6-7 centimeters." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" Because I was texting him when the lady didn't give me any drugs, and she was just like, "Oh, it's okay." She said, "The only thing that's gonna help you is the baby coming out." The baby coming out. And I'm like, "What? Like, you can give me something." But I texted him and I said, "I can't do this anymore. I need you to just take the baby out." The text is probably still in here. And he saw the text message, but he didn't respond. So I'm like, somebody come and give me something. Like, I can't do this. Like, it's not working. I don't care anymore. We tried. But he came and was like, "Yeah, you're gonna have the baby, so it's almost over." So I'm like, "Really?" So then I got up, like, even though the pain was crazy, I was in such a better mood. Yeah, he's a great doctor. She's crying. Yes, bring her to me. But yeah, he was really calm. And then so this is the part where it got kind of fuzzy because in the birth vlog I didn't really know what happened. But the baby came out pretty easy. I don't even think he had to do an episiotomy. He told me, he said, tell me when the neck, he said, what did he say about the, he said something about the contractions or pushing. And I'm like, I'm not pushing. That's just my body. I'm not doing anything. It's just doing that by itself. And so he said, okay, tell me when the next time your contraction comes. So I said, because it's not just a contraction. It's not just like you have pain. It was pain. And then after that, my stomach was like, like trying to squeeze the baby out. Like, I don't know, like toothpaste. I don't know how I would describe it. Not toothpaste, but like basically it was squeezing. My stomach was just squeezing itself to squeeze the baby out. Hey, pumpkin. So then, so then he said the time. So he was just waiting on me to have my contraction, which was great. I'm like, oh, he's not even asking me to push, which is what I was afraid of, and I didn't want to push. I didn't want to tear and all this stuff. And so once I said the contraction is coming, and I felt something like maybe his hand was there to get the baby out, or he wedged his hand somewhere because I felt a little bit of like a little pain or a little something pressure. And then my body pushed, and then he said one more, and so I had to push. And I was like, oh shoot, if I push, what's gonna happen? But I was like, if he says push one more, that means it's almost over. So I was going back and forth, and I was like, you know what, this is not how I wanted to do it, but let's just get it done. So I pushed, and her head came out. It didn't hurt. I was nervous about that, but it didn't hurt. And then right after her head came out, like I felt that, and then her body fell out. Of course, this is bigger than she was, but just her little body just fell out. Like her head came first, and then the rest of her body was just like jello. Which, you know, for somebody who's only had a C-section before, it was a new experience. It was just like was my first uh birthing experience basically, and she just fell out. Yeah. So after she came out, that's when things got a little scary. I wasn't aware, but after Amadou told me everything that happened, and people were filling me in, so I was dirty from all the fluids and everything. He sewed me up. I did tear, so I had to get sewn up. That hurt. There wasn't a lot of pain medication for that. It was just some spray he was using to numb the area, but I didn't like it. It didn't feel good to me. That's one thing I've noticed living here is that for pain tolerance or pain medication, it's very much lacking. I don't know if that's a cultural thing. I don't know what that is, but um, yeah, everything hurts, and you're just supposed to take it. But I was losing consciousness every time I would try to get up. My blood pressure would drop. So they figured out I needed a blood transfusion. But it happened a couple of times where Amadou saw my lips turn gray and my eyes get really white, but like scary white, I guess. And so he called the doctor back in. And yeah, I just remember my eyes being closed. I'm laying down, and my husband keeps shaking my shoulder, like trying to keep me from sleeping. And the baby is like right above my head, like in the little bassinet thing, the little plastic thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm dirty. I need to go to the bathroom. And I kept trying to get up. And every time I try to get up, I'm like, why am I still sitting? But I would lose consciousness for a few seconds and I couldn't get up. And so the doctor wanted to check. He's like, Aisha, we're gonna check you and see if you're bleeding, or have any membrane. And so he wanted to check me after he sold me, and I was like, nah, you know. But it wasn't going down. Like I couldn't, like check with a whole hand. I'm like, And so I said, can the girl do it? Because she got smaller hands than you. And he's like, no, And so I wasn't letting him do it. I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work. And so it was gonna be too painful. So he called the anesthesiologist to put me under. And so after that, I didn't know anything else that happened. My husband was worried. He called my friend and my mother-in-law from the house. I don't know if they got. I think they got to the hospital around 6 a.m. He said something like that. But he called and he was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think something's wrong with Aisha, and I need you to come. And he was just really scared and nervous and crying and stuff. And at one point, my friend says that they were working on me and they took the baby out of the room, and so everybody's out in like the hallway or waiting or whatever. And then they gave the baby to him or tried to give the baby to him, but he didn't want to hold it. He was like, no, like he was too emotional. Like, this is not how it's supposed to go. We moved here and she's not supposed to, get sick or, and so he was really emotional. My friend said he was crying and stuff. So I didn't know how serious it was because every time I was unconscious, I wake back up and I'm like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. What's with the shower? But apparently, she was born 3:40 in the morning, and I think the anesthesiologist came. I got blood transfusion. I just woke up at noon that same day. I guess you call it same day. I woke up around noon and I was in the bed. I didn't know what happened, how it happened, and I think I was still in the same clothes. Um, but thankfully, they had already checked my blood type and stuff around week 35 of the pregnancy, because they before anything happens, they want to make sure they have all your blood type, your I don't know what other information they needed, but they needed some information in case I end up having surgery or something like that, or emergency situation. So they already had that on file, which was great, and smart. After I did some research trying to figure out, what causes hemorrhaging, and it's not necessarily, from what I've read, it's not necessarily like you lose a lot of blood or a little bit. It's just a lot for your body. So it's not like a certain amount that you can't lose or that you lose. It's more or less what your body can handle. And so at the time when I was having the spontaneous like contractions, that was the blood that was coming out. I guess that was the hemorrhaging that I was having. And then I don't know what happened when the baby came out, if that was in addition, if that was more um, at that time, but it could have been. So yeah, so that's how that happened. Um, and then after, I stayed in the hospital for a few days, and they treated me really well. It was great. It was very personable. It was about 3 or 4 midwives, and they rotate 24 hours here, 24 hours there, and so I got to work with everybody. Most of them were great. I think one wasn't as eager as the other ones, like just like the bare minimum. But other than that, they were all good. Um, so what I would have done differently, um, I think, I mean, I probably would have wanted to. I don't know if I could have, but he probably would. My doctor probably would have let me bring like a blow up tub thing, like a blow up bath. Like, he probably would have let me do that. I didn't know at the time. I didn't think about it. I thought it wasn't gonna be a go, so I never bought one in time. But I probably would have done that, and then I would have rather had both my friend and my husband there instead of switching off. I think I needed them both just for the pain management, because I didn't realize that the midwife Uh huh. You want more milk? I didn't realize that the midwife wasn't gonna like do anything. Like she said, push the emergency button if you need me, and that was after my friend was gone. But like I pushed it, she came, but she just basically her job was to report to the doctor what was going on. Like I thought if I needed which is different than the states, because the states, it's like that's money. So the more product they can sell you, that's better for them. But yeah, she was just like, oh, they're there, it'll be over, and that was it. And I'm like, and it was very like emotionless, like yes, hungry child. But so let's see, what was the other part? Okay, so just to compare, um, everything that I went through in the U.S. In the U.S., I had my baby, and the doctor that admitted me came and was holding my newborn first child. And I remember she told me, next time, go to the right hospital when you have your next baby. Something like that. She said, next time, like with the insurance, because I went to a different hospital because the hospital where my doctor worked, it was all these student doctors, and they kept saying, "Oh, you could die. Like if you leave the hospital and they send another doctor in, are you sure you understand that you could die and this and that?" Thank you, Shay. And they send the big doctor in. And I remember, like, if I was by myself or if I was a teenager or 20 some, well, yeah, if I was 10 years younger, they probably would have, pressured me to stay. But I had like 6 people in the hospital with me, and I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. Like they didn't even induce me at that point. All they had done was just manual induction, which never do. I that Foley balloon is the worst thing I've ever experienced. It did not feel good. And they yelled at me like they were trying to force me into labor like physically, manually stick something there. And I said, get off of me. This is not going to work. And they're like, I'm almost there. Just let me do it. And my friend had to say, get off of her. Leave her alone. And that was my doula. And I'm like, you know, how are you not going to listen to me? But anyway, so that experience, I didn't have any feeling like that here where they're like, oh, go to the right doctor with your insurance or make sure you go, like it's some private club or something. But anyway, so I went to another hospital because I'm like, I was induced twice by these people. I'm not going back. I'm not having my child here. And I was overdue. So I just went to any place. I was overdue and they have to take you. But um here everybody was really sweet. My baby was born. That was even when I couldn't get up, like they would give me a what's it called, a bath, a bird bath in the bed. Like it was it was nice. And it wasn't a hospital feeling, so you didn't feel like it was a whole bunch of patients. You were the only one. And you get all the attention. The doctor comes in the morning, you spend the night a couple of days. The doctor comes in and he's like checking on you and checking the baby. The pediatrician comes in, but there's no, like, the pediatrician was like, oh, if you only do breast milk, he's like, that's good for you. That's all the vitamins that the baby needs. You don't have to do nothing else. Like nobody was pushing. I remember having my first child, and they gave me a bracelet with a scan thing on it, and every time they come in, they just scan beep beep beep, beep, and it's just like money, money, money. I mean, yeah, it makes money. Like, thing is, my doctor, this is a private clinic. We paid about, how much did we pay? I know C-section is twice as much. We paid like $800 or something like that. Something like that. Maybe $800 for the birth. And that includes like the blood transfusions. I had 2. That includes the anesthesiologist. That includes the meals, like for 3-4 days that I was there from Friday to Monday, that includes um what you got, your room, cable TV, the AC, and everything. And the midwives, and the doctor could have pushed me or tried to push me to do a C-section, and could have like been all, oh, it's a risk, like how they did to me in the States. You want to control it, and you don't want any emergency to happen. He didn't say nothing like that. Like, and he could have got twice as much money, but he didn't. And that's what I appreciate the most. Yes, it's more cost effective, and the thing is, like, they have similar tactics as far as selling you medicine and stuff. Like, they tried to give me different types of contraceptive that they sell, and I didn't want anything with hormones. So, like, they try to pitch it to you, and the lady, the only thing she told me was like, oh, because men, they want, they can't go without relations for a long time, or something like that. What did she say? I said, oh no, I said, we haven't, at this time we haven't, reconvened anything, because I'm tired, he's tired with the baby. He said, oh, men say they're tired, but they can, and she was trying to, like, suggest to me that I do something before I'm ready, because I'm in pain, and I'm like, nah, just to sell me some contraceptive like that. I didn't like. That was one of the midwives, but they're not as good with the sales pitch as in the States. So I was ready for it. I'm like, oh no, I'm good now at this time. I don't want any hormones. I have high blood pressure and stuff. And she's like, oh, you know, so I can't like gain weight. I said, because in the States, the one thing in the States that they do tell you is they will tell you this can cause heart attack, cancer, diabetes, whatever. Like, they give you the fine print. They do it fast, but they give you the fine print. Here, I had to tell the lady. I said, don't all those, like the injection and the Mirena or whatever she was telling me about. I said, don't all those, you know, cause have side effects, like psychological side effects, emotional side effects, or whatever you want to call it, mood swings, and then also you gain weight. It's hormones. And she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, they don't give you a pamphlet like with a warning, but in the States they do that because of liability, but at least they do it. Like, at least they tell you the warnings. Like, she wasn't gonna tell me nothing. I'm like, you giving stuff to anybody just like, oh no, it's good. Like, they just, everything's good. So, every scenario has pros and cons, but definitely for me, the pros here outweigh the cons of over there. But this is just my personal experience. I'm glad that I wasn't pressured to have a C-section. I'm glad I wasn't pressured for anything. Even the cardiologist that I saw during my pregnancy, my blood pressure was controlled with the medication that he gave me and the advice. And he told me, he said, don't do anything that stresses you out. Don't talk to anybody who stresses you out. I had to block a few numbers while I was pregnant, like, just like for real, just to not have my anxiety, not my anxiety, but like not to be anxious and nervous, and my stress elevate. And he said, I can give you all the pills in the world, but if you're stressing, they're not going to do anything for you. And I never heard anything like that before. And I've been taking blood pressure medication since I was 30, and had my first anxiety attack or panic attack or something. And it's just, man, it's like, even if here it's not perfect, the medical field, maybe it's not perfect. There's room for improvement. Like, I think the pain medication, the culture around that needs improvement. Like, even when I got my dental implant, I'm screaming and kicking in the chair, and they're still drilling. Like, no, you know. But but and I've, there's other examples of that I've experienced or have heard from people. And so I think that can be improved upon. But other than that, it's like the pediatrician could tell me, oh, you could buy formula, but there's no incentive for him to tell me to buy formula. He's like, no, you have enough vitamins with the breast milk, so give her that. That's good. You don't have to do like the people who want to be like in the West, which there are people like that here, who aspire to, have all the modern stuff. But he's like, you don't have to be like that. He's like, you don't have to be too wild. You could be natural. And I'm like, cool. I like that support. You know what I mean? Um, Another thing that was different, they pierced her ears in the doctor's office. That was a part of what I paid too. I want to say, was it $800? I believe it was around $800. But whatever it was, the C-section was dope. I believe I'm trying to calculate because it was sapphire. So I'm like, wait, was it 800 or 800,000? But yeah, I believe we paid like 800. And then for all the visits, like each visit was probably $30 or so. Um, and they do every month until the end. You probably do every 2 weeks or something like that. Oh, you are doing dental work with minimal pain. Man. Oh, I wasn't planning on doing the dental work like that. I went to get an implant like when we first moved here because COVID had messed up my appointment in the States, and so they did it, but it was, I was crying and I was like where's the payment? And they were putting it, but whatever they were using wasn't strong enough because I'm like, I still feel it, like I still feel like this is crazy. But yeah, even with my daughter, I have to take her to the dentist actually. um they didn't want to give her anesthesia, and I'm like, you know so I think that, even I had a friend who recently broke her ribs, and when the ambulance came to get her, they were gonna drive on this bumpy road, and she didn't have any pain meds. They had to take this. Her friend was like, "No, take this road." And even though they had to go to speed bumps, she's like, I'm like, they didn't give you anything. She's like, here, people don't like, they don't carry it on them like that. They don't have the culture to give you enough. And I'm like, why? Like, if I give you money, give me the pain meds, please. It's thousands of dollars. Yes, Rob Sneed. The cost for my firstborn was about 70K, and then not to mention the times that they tried to induce her and she wasn't born. I think that was another 30. So it was probably 100K. And what I'm learning about that is that they pad the bill. Is that what's called pad? Like they add stuff. Like they'll put, oh, we gave you Advil, and they'll put the Advil was $100 for one Advil pill. Like that's how they do the bill. Somebody did a story on that or something like that. That they put all this stuff in the bill. That's like, oh, we gave your baby her first diapers, and it was like $200. And they do all that, and you're not looking at it because you're like, oh, the insurance will pay, and they do it like that. That's the most money hospitals make is from birth. That's why it's they like my friend that actually was here when this one was born. When she had her daughter, she wanted to have a midwife, but the insurance wouldn't pay, so she went to the hospital at the last minute after laboring. And as soon as she rolls in the wheelchair, they're like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, a failed home birth, like failed." And they're saying this in her, like right in front of her face, like, and they were upset at her because she didn't want pain meds, and so they got mad at her because she said, "I need everybody out the room." It was like students or something like that. She's like, "I need everybody out the room." So everybody left, and the nurse stayed, and the baby came, and after they had to, she had to get stitches as well. They didn't give her any anesthesia, and they just sewed her up because they was pissed off at her because she didn't want them to help her. It's like not everybody needs help. People have babies in cars. You know what I mean? Yeah, they will add things that you don't need. Yeah, but it's just I just feel really fortunate that I was able to have a vaginal birth, and I feel like I'm so lucky that I know what both feel like. I know the recovery of both. Like this, I'm. She's 4 months and some change, and when I was 4 months postpartum, my stomach was still hurting from my abdomen from the surgery. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you recover in 8 weeks." And then 8 weeks go by, and they're like, "Well, it is abdominal surgery," but they don't tell you that in the beginning. Like, they just like, "Oh yeah, it's easy, and you don't have to go through the pain, and it might hurt." Like, somebody told me that either somebody told me or they did a video and I saw it. They were talking. Oh no, it's a friend of mine, and he said when him and his wife were having their child, they kept coming into the room. They're like, "Oh, we hear you screaming. We just want to offer you the epidural." Like, they panhandling, they going door to door to sell epidurals to people. They're like, "No, we're doing it." And they said, "Oh, I heard you screaming. Are you sure?" And they're trying to talk to her while she's trying to labor and mess up her concentration and everything. It's just But yeah, I was nervous to have a baby here because it's not my home country and stuff. I think the thing that made me the most uncertain was just the language barrier in those type of moments where it's emotional, high intensity, you got pain and everything. But but I was just as nervous to have a baby in the States too. So it was like I just had to figure out one or the other, and I just had to figure it out. You enjoying the freedom of breastfeeding everywhere without being given. Oh my gosh, that like yes, there's discretion and privacy and stuff like that, but at the same time, people are weird. Like sometimes your baby is crying. I just traveled. The vlogs are coming later, but I just traveled to Central America and I had to feed the baby while in the immigration line, and I'm carrying her in those front carrier things. And as I'm carrying her, I'm feeding her because otherwise she's gonna scream, and nobody wants to hear that. But I I I don't know what the States will be like. Like people are really weird about stuff like that. Like it's just a kid. Like I don't know, but everybody was so helpful. Everybody was so kid friendly, and it just reminded me of how in my country, like where my home country of birth, like we're not like we're very much impatient when it comes to kids. But I don't know. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was because I was afraid. Like I was very thankful for the few people that did have give birth on the continent. One of them is a lady who has a YouTube. She's in Tanzania. She gave birth. She didn't show it, but she talked about it after the fact. Um, it's I forgot her. I forgot. Is her name Cat Catherine? Anyways, traveling sister. She's in Tanzania. Also, another person had a baby, and talked about it was Kaylin. She's African American in Africa. African American in Africa is her channel. She's in Namibia, and so I remember watching these people and their experience, and it definitely gave me more confidence to know that it could be done. And there's other people that don't have YouTube channels also, but finding out about other people helps, and that's why I was like I wanted to share because we can normalize it and take the unknown away, like the fears and the uncertainties and stuff like that, and answer whatever questions. Then other people can feel like, okay, I don't have to go back to the States, because to go back to the States and have a kid is like you have to stay until you get the passport. You have to stay with someone unless you have an extra house or whatever. Stay with someone for that amount of time. So you're probably looking at 5 months if you can wait until month 7 to travel back. You have month 8, month 9, and then the baby comes, and then you apply for a passport and social security number, all that stuff. So you're there. You could be there for 6 months, and I wasn't gonna do that. Like I wasn't gonna be separated from my family, and no, and then end up having to just sit there. No, and then you still have to eat. You still have to live over there, whatever that means. So I was like, nah, we'll use that flight money or whatever money and just pay a doctor. So it worked out. Africa has the highest birth rate, so they are pretty used to babies in the birthing process. That's a good point. I didn't know they had the highest birth rate um, of all the continents, but okay. That would make sense. People definitely having babies everywhere. Um, Let me see. I went over a medical cost, how I was treated. To be treated like a person, it's just means a lot, you know. No. Oh, also, nobody here misses my veins, which I've been dealing with that in the States since I was a kid, where people can get my veins, and my veins are small. And in the States, all the technology, like they have to use a, what's that, like X-ray vision type of deal to find my veins and all this extra stuff. They have to get 4 people to try. Everybody gets 2 tries, and all the nurses try, but they miss my vein. Here, no one has ever missed my vein, whether it's be at the what would be the equivalent to DMV or blood test center or um, hospital or the birthing clinic. Nobody ever misses my veins, and they don't have to use any extra, technology or anything like that. They just are better at doing stuff manually in general. And so that was a great experience because I had a lot of anxiety around needles because of that. Um, but I think that the way the way that things are going in the West, we know a lot of the consequences of the things that we're doing. That's why you have a lot of people who are, trying sea moss and juicing and taking moringa or whatever the case may be, different stuff and alternatives to things. Um, because a lot of people are realizing that certain medications is not good for your kidneys and your liver and this and that, and the side effects. You have to take medication for on top of the medication just to treat the side effects. And so I'm hoping that Africa is going in the same direction, but I'm hoping that because of this is the information age and the world is smaller, we have TikTok and all these information places, um, that people will learn, like Africa will learn from the mistakes of the West as far as, you know, using microwaves and certain things that are harmful, fast food practices, things like that. So even when it comes to the medical field, I'm hoping that people will learn faster before, without a lot of people getting harmed. Because when they were telling me about my postpartum appointment, they were telling me about my options of birth control and stuff, and I'm just like, it's a lot of people probably taking this stuff and not knowing what it could do to your body, the negative effects. Um, but that was another thing. The postpartum, they saw me a week after the baby was born, which doesn't happen in the States, even if you have a C-section. Like you have major surgery, they don't see you a week after. They do the 6 weeks or whatever it is, 4 weeks maybe. But this one, for a vaginal, they just see you a week after. I mean, I did have blood loss and everything, but I don't think that they would normally do that in the States. That ask to see you a week after to see how you're doing and stuff. Um, Same here. Oh, actually, you spelled my name correct the first time. I'm in the U.S. and they had me use a butterfly needle. Yes, I have to use butterfly needles all the time, but they get it on the first try. Yeah. I have to ask whenever I'm in the States. I ask for butterfly needles. Here, I've asked for butterfly needles, but but I didn't. They never have them, and I think I would have to buy it from the pharmacy and bring it. But they never needed it. I was like, because my veins are small. I tell everybody like my veins are small, and they're like, it's okay, and they end up no, she's still hungry, and they end up getting it without any problem every time. So that's another blessing. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to share and get this information out here before my daughter turned 1 years old, and I didn't get a chance to. Um, but yeah, compared to having a baby in the States, this was I I was on cloud nine after she came, and I just I didn't think I could do it, you know. And I praise God that everything worked out how it should. That I found this doctor. I actually the doctor watches my YouTube, or he was watching it when I first met him a long time ago. I I went to the hospital, and he was the doctor that was on call. And then after that, but I didn't really think I would like him. But then people kept recommending him in one of the group chats I was in. They said he's great, he's great. I kept hearing, so I said, all right, let me try. And I usually prefer female doctors as much as possible, and I just feel like they probably wouldn't be as sensitive or whatever in tune. But he is once again, his name is Dr. Kareem. It's a whole bunch of Americans going to him now that I recommended. I'm like, please go. But yeah, he's a dope doctor. He's a dope doctor, and I don't think I've ever had a relationship with a doctor, like a rapport with a doctor that was that good, and where I felt heard and seen and listened to. You know what I mean? Like, even though I'm more inquisitive. I think Americans are more inquisitive when it comes to doctors. I think here people probably tend to just listen to authority figures and don't ask too many questions and just trust blindly. But that's not what I do, and I think a lot of us are like that, especially when you're in a foreign place. So I need you to explain everything to me. Why am I taking this pill? Like, what is going on? And he happily obliged. There was no issues. Um, so yeah, I'm really thankful that he even if 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 I wasn't here, I wouldn't have had a VBAC number one. Nobody would even accept it. Even doctors who will accept it, if their hospital don't accept it, they can't do it anyway. So everything is just set up to bring in the big bucks. Um, let's see. What did you ask? I'm trying to read it without my glasses. I prefer blood for needles and non wiggled inside. Yes, wiggle inside over and over, and then they pull. You know when they wiggle it and then they pull it out and try to stick it, but they pull it out a little and then try to move it around. You're not gonna kill me. How are you doing now? I am doing great. I had pain. I had pain, and I had a I guess a little bit, not an infection, but a little bit like from the tear, which was good that I went a week after she was born, so they could tell me how to properly take care of myself. Because I never knew, like I mean, I didn't know what to do, so I had stuff to clean myself, keep the area clean, until the healing happened. Also, I was able to go to there's a lady who works um, out of my doctor's office. She's in the group chat anyway, but she does like vaginal steamings with African herbs. She's from Benin, I believe, but I think she's lived here for a long time. But she does like therapy down there, because after you tear, you're healing, but not in the same, not it's not the same. So that was awesome. She helped me a lot, and I learned a lot about what to do, what not to do, especially like for when you get back to being with your partner and stuff. So she taught me a lot of stuff, and but I did therapy with her, perennial therapy, I guess it's called, or something like that. And so she massaged my stomach. She has a device that does stimulation for the area. So when you have a tear or scar tissue and stuff, your body heals in a different way. So it was like to make everything um, nice and smooth with the elasticity and all that. So I feel great now. I had some aches and pains for about, I want to say, a month, where my bones were going back to where they were, like my pelvic bones were hurting. But now I feel great. Are you finished eating? Yes. Would you like to say bye to the people? Yeah, we weren't getting much sleep because she she does this thing where the daytime she's chill like this, and then night she cries and screams. But I think it's called the witching hour. We thought it was colic, and it might have been a little bit of that too. But she's doing a lot better. So we get sleep. We tag team each other and make sure that she gets enough sleep. She doesn't really nap. She doesn't like to nap. She's very alert and very much wants to be informed of what everybody's doing. So because of that, she doesn't want to what is it, FOMO? Like she doesn't want to miss out on anything, so she won't sleep during the day. But she's doing a lot better. She could cry for hours before, but I think now we figured we're learning her, and she is better at falling asleep and getting rest. So yeah, everything is good. Like I'm getting a lot more sleep than I was. I'm able to exercise, work out. I started walking twice a week. I lift weights. I've been doing some ab stuff. I'm trying to get this stomach to go back down. But other than that, yeah, everything's good. I have plenty of help, people to help cook and watch her so I can work a little bit. It's definitely a different experience, definitely a different experience than what I had before. So I'm very, very much thankful for that. Yeah, she tries to suck her fingers, but she can't get it. I don't know. I think she doesn't know what finger she wants. She tries all of them, but she more so she bites her fingers. I think she's probably gonna be teething soon or is teething. Say hi. Can you say hello? You see yourself? Yeah. Thank you. They said you're beautiful. Say merci. Thank you. Yeah. So she was born in Senegal in November, and so was her dad. And then Yaya and I were both born in February, and both born in Los Angeles. So this is his little buddy. He says she's gonna be working working construction with him. So yeah, her ears were pierced in the hospital. That was part of, they offer that for girls, um, at the doctor's office at the clinic. Uh, yeah, they gave her some studs, and then her namesake, her auntie, got her these hoop earrings. Yeah, this was soon as she was born, probably a week after. Yeah. But thank you guys. Um, hopefully, I'll try to organize this video if and put timestamps on it in case people want to find certain information, because I couldn't organize the video how I wanted. I was gonna have to plan it out and have somebody give me time, but she don't want to give me no time by myself. Mm, you don't want to give me no time by myself. Yes, if her daddy's not here, she's with me. Nice. I would love to do that for my girl babies. Yeah. Thank you, T's Real. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one. I got so much to edit. Um, but it should be really, really good stuff coming up. Stuff that we've been building, stuff that has been happening in the area lately, and I've been doing a little traveling, so all that's coming up. And if you want to see any behind the scenes stuff, we have members only. Members only get to see more of me. You get to see more of me. So you can always sign up for that. Does she do tummy time? She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. She gets frustrated. I try it sometimes, but very rarely. Where's your thing that I have? Very rarely. I tried it yesterday because somebody else suggested it to me again, but she gets frustrated. Hmm. Thank you, Antebellum. Thank you very much. See you guys on the next video. You say bye. You say bye. You say bye. Bye bye. All right, you guys. Have a good day. Be blessed. Peace out.